Good morning. Recently, I read one of the most unusual stories. World War II had officially ended. Peace had been declared. But young Lieutenant Hiro Onoda of the Japanese Imperial Army, who was stationed on an island in the Philippines, didn't know that the war had ended. Attempts were made to track him down. Leaflets were dropped over his location, informing him that the war was over. But Onoda, whose last order in 1945 was to stay and fight, dismissed these attempts and leaflets as trickery or propaganda from the enemy. He did not surrender until March 1974, nearly 30 years after the war had officially come to a close. And even then, it took his former commanding officer traveling from Japan to the Philippines to rescind his original order. The officer officially relieved Onoda of duty. It was then, and only then, that he finally believed that the war was actually over. Boy, when I read that story, I had a number of emotional responses. My first response was admiration for someone who took orders seriously. In the wishy-washy society we have morphed into, it's not only difficult, it's almost downright impossible to find people who are dedicated to faithfulness. It was Beverly Seals who reminded us that there are no shortcuts to any place worth going to. How very true. Let me run that by one more time. It was Beverly Seals who reminded us that there are no shortcuts to any place that's worth going to. How very, very true that is. Life can slip away so quickly. Days turn to weeks, weeks to years, years turn into decades. When I read this story, I couldn't help but feel sorry for the Japanese soldier who wasted decades in a cause that had ceased to exist. But of course, he didn't know that. Had he known, I feel fairly certain that he might have handled things a whole lot differently. But then I think of the myriads of people who are investing their lives in things that don't amount to a hill of beans. And they actually do realize that that's what they're doing, but they just don't seem to give a rip. On the other hand, I like what Roy T. Bennett had to say in one of his inspirational works. Here's what he said. If you have a strong purpose in life, you don't have to be pushed. Your passion will drive you there. Right on, brother. Right on. I'm Larry Hatfield. Good day.